Now we're gonna actually continue to the next exercise. This one we've used the fingers and play the chord at the same time, you know, all the fingers playing at the same time. But now we're actually gonna break that up and play a rhythm, more of a kind of a picking style, which goes like this. I'm playing the A string at the first beat, the A string at the same time as the B and E string, like this. And right after I've been playing those, I play the index finger by itself, like this. And then the thumb comes here. So the bass actually doesn't change at all. We have the same bass line all the time, like that. But the rhythm with our fingers goes like this. And this is really tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I play it a little bit with a more swing feel. You can play it totally straight. It will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The swing, you know, feel that's up to you how you want to play the examples. But it sounds good when you're playing it a little bit faster. It sounds actually really like two parts at the same time. After you've practiced that, I'll do it one more time really slow for you, and we go to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now just change the pattern. So you start with the index finger at the same time as the bass note, like this. And then after the first beat, you play the two high strings, and then the bass note, and then index finger again, and continue with the bass on the low E string and then D string. So you have this example. So you see it's actually the same thing, but I've just swapped the high string with the G string and do it the other way. So I'll play it slow. 3, 4. Let's pick it up to speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that's the first. Once you've actually mastered all those examples, you're gonna be able to, you will be able to play melodies much easier. Play a melody on top, but keeping that bass line going, picking in the same way like that. So once you've mastered this, we can continue to start learning a song, which is the most fun thing, of course. Sometimes exercises can be very boring, but it's necessary for you to get that thumb independent. So yeah, so we're gonna continue. We've done the first examples, and I just want to tell you in terms of, now I've used the same chord on every example. I've used the A minor chord, and that minor chord, A minor, has the root on the A string, like I told you before. And of course, when you're playing another chord, say for instance C major, like this, that also has the root on the A chord. And we have kind of a rule that you can actually use the same bass line. If you're playing a chord with the root on the A string, the bass line is always from the A string to the D string to the E string to the D string. So, but in this case, in C, I need to actually move my ring finger on my left hand to get that G note here when I do the bass line, because otherwise I get this sound, which actually sounds okay because the E note is actually in that C chord, but we want this bass line. Okay, so and any other chord, say D minor, bar chord, 5th fret, like this. We're playing the same thing. So you see the bass goes from the A string, D string, E string, D string. Okay. And then of course we have a chord where we have the root on the E string. For instance, if you play E minor, here's the E minor chord, and then we usually have the bass line going from the E string to the D string, back and forth, either like this, or you can actually use the bass line where you go E string to D string, and then A string to D string. So that's a very common way too. So that's a little bit more tricky to have three strings instead of two. But sometimes I use this, 2 strings, just E string and D string, and sometimes I use 3 strings in the bass like this. Okay. If you have the root on the D string, if you have like a D chord, then you might, the bass string is a little bit thin. This is not really a bassy sounding note. So this is the lowest D we have on the guitar if we don't drop the string. But if we want to play just a D chord, then you can play like the bass line between the D string and the G string, back and forth like this. But you can also go to the A string sometimes like this. But actually, a chord like this, sometimes you put the third in the bass. So you get that low F sharp. You use the thumb, or either the thumb, or you can use this voicing, this index finger here. Sometimes I use the thumb. Don't tell your classical guitar player that you do that. But you're allowed to do that. In fingerstyle, we have to use the thumb sometimes. So it sounds like this. So then I actually use the E string and D string back and forth. So that's the 3 different, sometimes you have the root on the E string, sometimes on the A string, sometimes on the D string. And that's the 3 different ways that we play the bass lines with the right hand. So, okay, so we're going to continue. This one, we're going to play actually a melody now at the same time as playing a bass line. So we're going to use the chord G. Most of you have probably played this chord before. But we're going to use the ring finger on your left hand to, we're going to not actually play the regular G chord like this. We're going to use the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, like that. And then we're going to move the bass line. We're going to move the bass from the E string to the D string, to the E string, to the D string again. So back and forth between the E and D string. And then we have actually, since we're just using one finger here, we're actually able to play a melody using the other fingers here. So we're gonna play a G major scale, which sounds like this. I'm just gonna play the scale for you. So now I'm just playing the scale with my thumb, but we're gonna use our fingers on the right hand to play that melody, and we're gonna use the bass line at the same time. So each note of this melody, each note of the scale is gonna be played ring out for the whole bar, which means like if I play it, the major scale, this is the first example, I'm gonna play the boom chick bass, which we call it, and then we have the melodies ringing out the whole bar. So it sounds like this. I'll play it for you in up to tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to play it really slowly, and you can play along if you want. So really slowly like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course you can go back down too, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're actually not just learning how to play the melody, but we're learning the techniques, you know, of how to hold a finger still and then actually playing something else with your other fingers. And that's very common in fingerstyle, where a lot of things going on at the same time, you know, when you're playing different stuff like. So it's a lot of things happening at the same time, but the bass still going at, you know, just as we did in the example. Okay, so we're gonna play the next example using this G chord, the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, just like before. And now we're gonna use half notes instead of whole notes. So the melody before was it was ringing out through the whole bar like this. But now the melody is gonna be go by a little bit faster because it's half notes. So instead of 2, 3, 4, we have like that. So the exercise goes like this. I'll play it up to speed first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll play it really slow, and you can play along if you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Great job. Now we're going to the next one. This is the exact same thing, but now we're actually using quarter notes. So we're actually going to play one melody note per beat in the bar. So it goes by much quicker now. So, but the bass never changes. You'll notice that all those examples, you know, the bass stays the same. So keep this the same way and the melody changes. I'll play it up to speed so you can hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. And you can go back down like this. Okay, I'll do it really slow together. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can let it ring for a couple of bars. And then we go back down. Great, so now we've actually played a melody at the same time as comping ourselves. So we take it to the next level. You can actually play 8th notes as well, and the melody will be really, really fast, but it's a good exercise. If I take it down just a little bit slower, it will sound like this: 3, 4. This is actually the next level. This is tricky, but I'll do it really slow together. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. And then we go back down. Okay, that's the finger picking examples in G. And of course, you can experiment with this yourself. You can put the melody wherever in the bar. You can try maybe putting it on an offbeat, which is much more tricky. But if I do that, it sounds like this, like. That's on the offbeat. That's one way of playing it. You can play it. And notice that the thumb bass line never changes. So just the melody changes, and that's the important thing. This is how you build independence between the thumb and the fingers. Okay, so once you get comfortable with this, all of a sudden, actually, you don't think when you're playing. You just you can phrase the melody however you want. If you have a song, like if I have those notes, I can sing them, kind of sing the melody in my head and phrase it however I want, but I can keep playing the same bass line. So and that takes practice to be able to do that. But you can fiddle with it yourself. Just sit like this and experiment like. Just, you know, within the G major scale, practicing like that. That's a great way of learning this. So good luck with that. We're going to go to the next section of this lesson. I'm glad you're still with me. If you're watching this, you still are with me. So here we go. We're going to continue to the next lesson.